All right, we are back to our regularly scheduled programming. We are just over 2 weeks out from Worlds, which is crazy. Today's Wednesday, so tomorrow will be 2 weeks out from weigh-ins, which will be Thursday morning, which is wild that came up so fast. So we barely have any training left. Not this past weekend, but the weekend before, we were in Scotland for the Rogue Invitational, which was an incredible experience. That was so cool to be there for. But with traveling internationally, training got weird there, and then we came back last Monday, and we were super sick through the rest of that week. So this week we're finally back to like full training. I did some training last week, but it was very minimal, very low volume, barely anything. So back to training this week. Today's my day 3. I didn't film deadlifts because I think that was the last thing that I put up on YouTube anyways. So today we have, I think, Zercher squats, yoke, sandbag toss, and some grip. So these last couple of weeks, we've really pared it down just to the essentials. We don't really have a whole lot of like accessories or fluff work. It's really kind of just focusing in on the events, putting all of our training focus into like the event-specific training, and then prioritizing recovery. Because at this point, I'm really not going to get much stronger. We can get more proficient at the events, but the name of the game right now is just recovering, staying healthy, staying uninjured, and going into the show as fresh as possible. So I think looking at the program, I don't have it up right now, but this week I think is kind of like the peak week. Most of the heavy stuff is this week, and then next week we kind of start to taper. I think if I remember correctly, we have some heavy log next week, but for the most part, everything else is going to be lighter, and we're going to kind of start deloading. So these next couple sessions are going to kind of be the end of like heavy prep. So this will be the only session I can film this week, just 'cause I've been doing some other content with my media guy, but next week I'll try to get every session from my last week of training so that you can see how everything's finishing off before we leave next Saturday, which is crazy. So I'm going to start warming up. The Zercher squats today are kind of the warm-up to the yoke, so they're going to be super light. I might not do a whole lot of warm-up before that, just a few things to get my body moving, and then I'll meet you back here to film the Zercher squat, which will be kind of like the bulk of the warm-up for today before we get into the specific events. So today will be pretty short. I think I've got 2 runs of yoke, 2 sandbag series, and then some grip holds. So like I said, we're really paring it down just to the essentials. We're going to work really hard at those 3 things, and then that'll be it for today. So I'll do some cardio at the end because I've still got some weight to lose right now. That's the hardest part of prep, is getting down to weight. I want to lose probably another 3 to 5 pounds before I start my water cut. So that's where most of the energy and effort and attention is going currently. So I'll do some cardio at the end. But yeah, I'll meet you back here when we get to Zerchers, and then we'll do some events together. All right, so like I said, we're just using Zerchers as a warm-up exercise for the rest of the day. So the RPE is a lot less than it was last time we had this. The last block, this was more of like a main movement that we were pushing the weight on. And so I worked up to 300 for 3 on my last day of Zercher's last block, but we're using them differently now. It's just a warm-up. The RPE is like 6 or 7. I'm taking them from the floor this time, which I didn't do last block. That was just a decision that I made today, since it's going to be lighter, just to get a little bit more movement out of it. So I think that was only like 165. I might go up to like 185, 200, and that's probably it for the day. Since we're doing 55 instead of 3s and the RPE is less, we're going to keep it pretty light and push yoke, which we have after this. So I'll call that my last warm-up set. I'm going to bring this up to 185 for my first working set. We might stay there for all 3, or we might bring it up, but we've just got a couple sets here. All right, so I'm going to count that as my first working set. I do think I'm going to add 10 per side to bring it up to like 200, 205, somewhere in there for the last 2 sets. But again, we're keeping this light today. I actually really like doing them from the ground. I haven't really trained them from the ground before, but the movement's feeling really natural, and I think there's good carryover to a lot of strongman events doing the full Zercher squat. So I won't film my next set. I'll film the last one, show you the last one, but we just got 2 more sets there at about 200. All right, last set here, we settled around 200 pounds. It was like 202 with the kilos. All right, yoke time. All right, so we are almost done warming up on yoke. We've done warm-ups all the way up to 525. This will be my last warm-up set, most likely. Today's written as 2 sets of 50 feet at 600 pounds, but then the note says that I'm allowed to go up to 650 on the second set if it's feeling good. So I'm not going to base this on how it's feeling because yoke has been feeling really shitty, but then I watched the videos and it actually looks fine. I have noticed that yoke is the event where I feel my body weight the most. Like the weight loss, I think, has a positive effect on some events and a negative effect on others. And yoke, I feel the most negative effect of weight loss. The weight doesn't necessarily feel like too heavy, but I just feel like frail and unstable under the weight. Like I'm walking on toothpicks, if that makes sense. So I am experimenting with like tighter knee sleeves, double belting, kind of trying to create as much external stability as I can, which is new for me. I usually don't wear this much equipment on yoke, but I'm going to play around with that today. Based on how it's looking, I am hoping to at least hit comp weight, which is 620. I would love to hit the 650 since the car yoke is harder than a normal yoke. Overshooting it a little bit would be a confidence boost, but I do know that if I can move 600 smoothly without drops, even if it's kind of slow, I should probably be okay at the contest after recovery and deload and all that stuff. So I'm gonna hit this last warm-up set with 525, then we'll jump to 6 and make a decision about where to end the training. All right, well that felt and looked shitty, so that should have been a fairly easy last warm-up, and that felt pretty terrible. So we're gonna go to 600, see how that moves. We might be doing both runs at 600 today if it's feeling like that. But no drops, happy with that. I haven't timed it yet. I don't know how long that took, but hopefully we'll put 600 on and something magical will happen, but we'll just jump to working weight. First working set, 605. It's like a RPE 1,000 million. Okay, then. Okay. You still filming? Okay. I need a break. I can't talk right now. All right, so I forgot to talk in between the sets, but we stayed at 605 because it was feeling horrible. And as you saw the last set, also didn't go great. I could feel after the initial pick that it was a little bit crooked on my back and just tried to power through it. Clearly did not work because I ended up dropping it halfway, and I can't remember the last time I dropped a yoke in the middle of the run. So that's frustrating. But I did time that last set, and even with the drop, it was like 22 seconds, which isn't a great time. But considering that there was a drop, I feel like I didn't time the previous run, but based on that, it was probably like 16, 17 seconds, which feels really slow for 50 feet. But I do have to remember in 2021, the last time I competed in 73, the yoke weight was 575. So it was a little bit less. And I got second place on the event with 14 seconds, which is only like half a second behind first place, which is like 13 and a half seconds. And then when I went 82, I won the event with 19 seconds. I don't remember what the yoke weight was, but it was heavier. But 19 seconds was a winning time. So I think I just have to remember to keep it smooth, focus on not dropping, focus on smooth steps, staying stable, accelerating within reason, but not trying to push the weight to like a speed run, because even though it feels slow and it feels like it's taking forever, just based on numbers, based on like the times that have gotten like top 3 finishes on this event in the past, it really doesn't have to be a super fast run. Like if I can get somewhere from 14 to 18 seconds, I think that's going to be a pretty good time. I think that's going to be a top 3 time. Even though for me it's feeling slow, I think I'm just used to having yoke events that are a little bit lighter and quicker moving. So I don't know, I think I'm getting in my head about it because it's not feeling as easy as I want it to, but it shouldn't feel easy because it's a heavy yoke. And especially with the car, it's going to feel heavy, it's going to feel hard, it's going to feel slow, and that doesn't mean that I'm doing poorly at the event. So I think that's just going to be the mental battle that I have to work with on this one. But that was my last heavy yoke session. Next week I think I have 400 pounds for speed runs, and then we'll be done. So I would have loved to overshoot comp weight a little bit, but really did my runs with 605 today, comp weight is 620 after like a rest, a deload, actually eating. I'm also on a huge calorie deficit right now. I'm losing weight. There's a lot of things working against me. So even though I feel frustrated, I do have to check in and realize logically, all things considered, that went pretty well. So gonna strip this down, chill for a little bit. I have sandbag throws next because it's Washington and it gets dark at like 2 p.m. now. It's pretty dark outside because I took too long here. I'm gonna try to film one of those, see if you can see anything. I've got 3 runs of the whole sandbag series. I might just film like my first or last one of those because it's kind of hard to set up the camera outside when it's dark, but I'll see you back. I'll try to figure that out and see you then. All right, so I've got 3 comp runs on the sandbag throw. I'm gonna go into this first run without doing any like warm-up throws to kind of practice like a worst case scenario. Like I'm feeling pretty fatigued, not gonna warm up to see if I can still hit the run. This isn't really an event that I'm worried about being able to do. I've done the run several times in training. I hit the run successfully the first time trying it in training. The bags and the height are all very doable for me, but this is an event that historically I have a habit of messing up at contests. Despite training going well, I tend to get, I don't know, frazzled or rush or something goes wrong where I end up missing a bag that is normally pretty easy. So we've really just been hammering this and practicing a ton to really make it like unfuck-upable. And the runs have been going really well, been hitting them pretty easily. So I do want to go into this one kind of like worst case scenario without warming up. I've been kind of sitting around for a little bit just because at like contests you don't really know how long it's going to be before you go, if you're going to get cold. So anyways, I'm rambling. I'm going to do this first run. I'm probably only going to film this first one just because it's really dark out here. It's hard to see and I'm not really going to have a great camera angle. So I'll do my best to show you this first run, but then I probably won't film the other ones unless this one goes atrociously and then we need to try again. They all go over? Sick. Okay, done. All right, so sandbag throws went really great. We ended up doing 4 runs. The first 3 went great, and then someone challenged me to race, so obviously had to do a 4th run, and they actually went really well. Couple areas that I could cut some time, but I don't really know if I want to, because I feel like I have a pretty solid event win in the bag if I just do it right. My ego really wants to set the new record for that event. I think I can get it done in 14, 15 seconds, but I also know that trying to go faster runs the risk of making a mistake, missing a bag, and costing me the win at the event, because I don't necessarily need to do it that fast, I don't think, to take the event win. So kind of playing with that. I'm going to play around on Friday to see if some of those like speed changes I made today work consistently. But we'll play around with that. I feel really good about that event. I didn't miss any throws today except for my very last throw because I was trying something new. So I don't want to jinx it. I think that should be a pretty solid event win for me as long as I don't make any mistakes, which historically I have. But feeling good. Anyways, don't really have much for accessories today. We're going to end with some behind the back holds. I've done one of my working sets already. 225 for 30 seconds behind the back. I'm supposed to work up to a heavy set for the day. I've got 245 on here right now, which would be a PR. I think the last time I did this, I worked up to 235 for my 30 seconds. And today hoping for, or no, we have 250 on here because we put the 2.5 on. So we're going for 250, which is half of the contest weight for the wrecking ball. But behind the back is quite a bit harder. We have 1 day a week that we're doing behind the back, and then 1 day a week that we're doing front holds that more closely replicate the actual wrecking ball stance. So 1 more set here, and then that'll be a wrap on today's workout. Get it. Done. Cut. All right, and that's a wrap on programmed training for today. I'm going to end with probably like 30 minutes of cardio just to help with the weight cut, like I was talking about, I think, at the beginning. But that's about it. The sessions this week have been fairly short. Like I said, stripping it down to just kind of the essentials, prioritizing recovery. I'm not really going to get much stronger at this point. So that was the last heavy yoke. I think Friday I've got my last heavy stones and maybe my last heavy sandbag medley run through. Not going to be able to film that day, unfortunately, just because I've got some other content stuff that I have to work on that day with someone else that's coming to film. But next week I'm hoping to film each of my last training sessions for this prep so that you can see how everything ends up. Next week we'll be starting to taper. We're still training all the events. Intensity is down on a lot of them, I think, besides log. So just kind of working on technical proficiency at this point and recovery. So trying to look at things objectively, because this is kind of at the point where I start to get overcritical and want things to be feeling better than they are. But at this point in prep, I think everyone's tired. It's normal to feel tired. Things start to feel heavy with the international travel last week and being sick and kind of having things thrown off there. Trying to have some grace with myself that things might not be best case scenario right now. And if I look objectively at numbers I'm hitting and times that I'm hitting and stuff like that, even things that aren't necessarily feeling great, just looking at numbers and data, I'm actually doing fine. Like on yoke today, it felt terrible when I actually like watched and timed my sets. They weren't as bad as they felt. And in general, a lot of things are kind of that way, that like in the moment I get frustrated about how it's feeling, and then I watch the video and realize that I'm kind of overreacting. And I think that that's a normal way to be feeling at this point in prep. I'm very tired, especially with the weight cut. Everything just feels, I think, harder than it feels like it should. So just trying to go confidently into the show, knowing that after like a deload week, a lot of sleep, actually being able to eat, like IV, hydrate, fuel, recover properly, and all that stuff. Hopefully all this comes together on comp day. So looking forward to training next week, kind of tying up the loose ends. And we're pretty close to game day. So sorry I haven't been filming as much as I used to during comp preps. Things have gotten a little bit sideways with the travel and being sick, and then there's other things that have popped up here at the gym with other content that I've had to film. But I do want to try to get all of my training sessions up next week, so we can kind of get back in the habit of showing you all of the prep that goes into this show. So if you have questions, comments, let me know. As always, like, share, subscribe, all those things. It really goes a long way with helping getting the channel going. Well, I'll see you next week for the last little bit of OSG prep, home stretch.